Sheesh. There it
A
is.
fish called Brenda. It could be a...
I honestly would not be opposed to it.
Okay.
I secretly bought a new Hawaiian shirt, and I think everybody's going to love it.
Okay.
It's
I will
gonna get
continue
one
to
too.
buy.
a
Okay.
flamingo.
Well, give
I
me your
won't get a
sizes. I'm going to
flamingo.
go buy you guys Hawaiian shirts. That'll be fantastic.
What up, everybody? It's Ted from New Wave. I'm here for our podcast, of course, New Wave After Dark. This week, we are discussing
Tank
a kind
moves.
of fun but not really fun topic. Tank moves. Oof.
Well, there's fun parts about it.
Yeah, you find all the unwanteds.
No, I mean, you can re-aquascape.
Oh,
Yep.
good call, good
Yeah.
call.
So, yeah,
Redo
we're gonna-
corals.
We have to do some tank moving behind us. As you see, we are going to be moving these aquariums for several reasons. One, we're moving our podcast studio to our new place.
What?
So we're going to be taking the Red Sea 750. We're going to be bringing that there. And then the water box will probably just rehome. But our fish will be at the store for a little while. So if you're in the area, you can see some of our fancy. We have a lot of wrasse collection. Also, our masked angels, our baby regals, a bunch of stuff. But we need to do this safely because not only do we have quite the collection, but these are animals. And we all go through tank moves and we all have to do them. So I think we'll just do a kind of a brief overview of what we're going to cover. We want to talk about, new sand versus saving your sand. How much water do you save? Do you use your same rock? How do you get rid of or eradicate pests? Mixing corals and fish in your coolers as you're transporting them and what not to do. Aeration and transplantation, and then what to look for after the move is done. And then I like what you said, Ted, talking about some of the fun things or interesting things or good things about moving tanks.
Some of my favorite things about moving tanks are, yet again, you get to re-aquascape, get to replace all of your corals that when you first started, you're like, oh, I didn't give enough room to that. And all of a sudden you got two corals growing right upon each other, vice versa. And then you also get to reevaluate what you got, what you have working in your tank, or there's always that one dead spot that you've always looked at and going, God, I wish I could redo it this way or that way, or vice versa.
Yeah, you also get a chance to like really deep clean too. So if
Oh,
you have
absolutely.
the coral skeleton that you just had glued in place, it was doing so well, you can lift it off, see if there's vermitids, hair algae. Same with your rock work too. So that's one benefit I've found just from the moving the tanks. But
Get those aptaceas removed.
Oh,
Yep.
Aptasias, bubble algae. And then also too thinking about, okay, well, since we're talking about bubble algae or hair algae as well, I mean, if you have rocks covered in it, don't put them in your, if you're moving it, don't put them back in, not for now. Dry it out, recycle it and then put it back in because you don't want to start off again. If you have to do the whole move anyway, just get rid of the pests and then start over.
Yeah, you can set that rock aside and then just get a new chunk of rock. Maybe a better piece. I don't know. No, you don't start with the same problem again and again. Just a pain in the butt.
When you guys are drying out your rock, do you do anything chemical treatment to it, or do you just literally let Mother Nature do the work? I'm a Mother Nature guy. Throw her outside, let it bake off, let it do it before I reintroduce it into the aquarium. Of course, I'll give it a rinse and scrub down. But
Yep.
I like to put it in fresh water first, kill everything, and then I like to dry it out.
There's a couple other options too you can do if you're looking to just eradicate like pests. I've heard that you can put it what they call in like mixing it really hot salt water. So like at mixing your salt at like a 40 or 50 parts per thousand, and then or what you can, and then all the bristleworms and whatever you
Everything,
want to
yeah.
come out. Otherwise, too, what you can do is set it in regular salt water without any aeration, and about 24 hours to 36 hours, all those pests will come up because they're running out of oxygen. So that's one way of eradicating that too.
That's
But just for Mother Nature ways of doing things.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
That's exactly why I do the fresh water, because then everything starts falling off.
yep, you pull it off
And
before
you don't have
dry
it
up.
stuck in there and stuff. I know other people, what they do is they get a bath of citric acid.
Yep.
They dunk it in there for a few minutes or whatever. And
Does that kills all the coralline though and everything, right?
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
So it kills. It's like the
it'll
chemotherapy of.
yeah, and you'll remove anything biological too. So
Yeah.
it just strips the entire rock. But
So no, keeping that in mind. So I think people, starting off with tank moves, like why do you move your tank? People move because they get divorced. They move because they're moving houses. They move because they don't like the location. They move because
Floors are getting redone.
floors are getting redone. replumbing. So, I mean, there's a ton of different, but having the right equipment, I think starting off before you do your tank move is kind of a big deal.
Yeah,
I think we should touch on that since we started as a maintenance company, knowing what equipment do you need before you start unplugging things and then just going for the move. So I can start off with, since we're doing this, I mean, I make sure that we have all of our coolers, all of our bins, nets, everything set out and ready to go. So you're not searching for things. It is time sensitive in the fact that, we need to have, do it within the same day. However, having the right equipment gives you some extra time to actually take the time.
Yeah, big time. I think a plan is the biggest start of your move, is organizing, getting it pre-thought out, coolers, tubs, brutes, everything and anything to hold water and things.
And having
stuff.
water available too, because that's one thing that can be overlooked is, oh crap, I'm 30 gallons short on my tank for water, and then you have to wait to make some more and mix it up. So,
and there's always at 5 gallons. It's the magical. It's a magical 5 gallons. You could literally take every single drop of water and then put it back into the same tank, and it's a magical 5 gallons that disappears. Mm-hmm. So always have a little bit. Actually, that's a great point.
Anyone else?
No, that's it.
Move on to the next
Tubs.
So how much water would you save?
As much as you can.
Agreed. I do, and then what I like to do is I take all the water, I get it in the coolers, and then I take whatever water that and I put it in the bins, and then I leave like that last 6 to 8 inches with that dirty sand bed. Just kind of discard that. That's how I do it. I like to keep the fish in there as long as possible.
You can balance it depending on, like, if you have a really dirty tank and your nutrient levels are high, you can balance that and maybe do like a 50% water change or whatever at the same time.
That's fair.
That's good.
yeah.
Because most of your bacteria is going to be on your rock work and sand anyways.
That's true.
Which, by the way, rinse the sand bed.
So we're we're going right into the sand bed. We're diving into the sand.
Somebody's poking the bear this morning.
All right. So sand bed, replace it. Keep it.
Start new.
Rinse it.
I'm a start newer.
Start new. Okay.
I think it depends on the condition of the sand bed
and the age of the tank too. I think is a big input too.
Yeah, I come across when we do tank moves that sand bed, it's either really dirty. In that case, you do replace it. But there's sand beds that they only need a little bit of rinse and they're good to go.
No.
One way to do it, if you're just going to rinse it, like I said, with that last 6 to 8 inches, you can literally, once everything is out, just kind of go through it. You don't even need to siphon through it. Just kind of go through it with like don't use your hand, because that's where all the bristleworms are.
Yep.
And you'll have very itchy hands. But I mean,
or wear gloves.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So you can just disturb it and then get rid of all that water. The thing that you don't want to do with rinsing it, I think number one, and we would all agree with, is rinsing it in fresh water.
Yeah, don't do that.
That's a no-no.
I mean, you might as well. You're starting over anyway, but actually, you're starting over with a lot of dead stuff. So don't rinse it with RO or other fresh water and put it right back in your tank move. We can all agree in that, correct?
Yeah, correct.
And essentially, for people who don't know, it's going to kill off everything.
Yep.
All your beneficial bacteria in that sand bed is gone, and then you're also going to have organic waste that's still left over in there. So you're better off rinsing it.
Not
in
a good idea.
water.
You could use that water that you were gonna throw away for water change.
Yep, and rinse it.
Yep.
Use that for your tank.
I don't know if you were just with us 2 seconds ago, Caesar, but I already said that.
Okay.
He was looking at the masked angels. I saw he was in tank land over there.
He's just wondering how he's going to move this tank today.
Yep.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I heard him trying to like sneeze and cough when he came in. It's like, yeah, the fake, not going to happen. Oh,
I got the black lung.
Cleaning my face with it.
Yep.
oh my God.
So the other question I
Uh-oh.
love to ask people is, when you're doing your tank move, do you guys do a deep clean on every aspect of the tank move, or do you just kind of do a little rock work here, a little rock work there, or take the opportunity to dive in, get your wave makers, get your back wall, get your neglected corner of death? I mean, what do you guys think?
I think it depends. It depends how far you're moving, how big the move's going to be. Because, like, for instance, when I move mine, that's an hour just drive time.
Yep.
So, like, for me, it's just life support at that point, like
Time
getting the fish
sensitivity.
in, getting the coral in, and making sure like the life support's going on the
That's
tank.
fair.
So then I spend less time deep cleaning. But once you throw your rock in, which is most of what my moves do. I throw the rock in, and then after it clears up after a day, I kind of re-aquascape it, and then that's when I go and deep clean. So
That's fair. Yeah, I think the life support is number one, and then going from there. But I think if you have the time, you can also do some prep work too. So like for me, for this one, I've already taken off the MPs. I can be soaking them. The nice thing about with using citric acid to like soak stuff is I take my MP, I take my bin, and I take all my equipment, throw it in there, run the MP. So now the MP is clean. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about MP40 Vortec pump. But I run them, and then everything else gets cleaned, and then I'm good to go when I'm done. But that's just if you have the time and 4 guys to help.
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I think another good piece of prep would be, siphon gravel vac your sand bed. Maybe if it is a thick one, don't disturb it too much. And then also at the same time, you can do that water change, because if you're using a lot of new water, that way the transition, especially for corals, is going to be a little bit more equalized, because
That's fair.
You're getting prepped for those new saltwater parameters. So
I think you bring up a good. Oh wait, go ahead.
I was gonna say, speaking of life support, not in the coolers, not mixing coral and fish.
Yes, I think that's huge. We've all, well, maybe not, you haven't done it, but we've all done it. So when you put corals in coolers, they can, they slime, they stress, and you mix fish in there too. It actually can and definitely will kill your fish.
The other one is the bubblers and the coolers for the fish.
shout out to Eagle Coolers.
Yeah. When we were on our fishing trip the other week up at the cabin, they had the same cooler.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
They're big for like middle buckets.
Yeah, and so I'm like, we'll
Ice
use those
fishing is
coolers, and
actually-
Yep.
and he's like, for what do you do? I'm like, I own an aquarium company. He was like, why would you use these? We move our fish and corals. Duh.
Yeah.
They're perfect for that. So
They are.
They have the battery powered air pumps, which is especially important for the fish. Making
It
sure
comes
it's
with
oxygenated.
the car.
Oh yeah, the car charge port.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you can
Oh,
plug
it's
it
all
into
set
your
up for
car,
everything.
whatever it's called.
So especially when you're going like an hour, like Brendan was saying, you're going an hour, even a half an hour. It doesn't matter. The tank move, and not to make Caesar sweaty, but it's going to take a while today. So I mean, they're going to be in coolers for quite some time.
I think
So-
it's hurting about right here.
I
right
know
now.
you look swollen, and
I know it's good.
I think
You're
I
looking a
see a
little pale,
fever on
Susan.
them.
Right? I think
I see the fever.
Yeah, I can see the.
oh my gosh, he looks so flush. Unbelievable.
We tried.
Oh, there's
We
so many
tried.
inappropriate
My
things.
body's getting swollen up. Look at.
Oh dear.
Uh-oh.
So I don't think I can do it.
In the words of the church lady, oh jeez.
Oh,
Oh
jeez.
jeez. Oh jeez. Good times. Good times.
Oh my gosh. All right, so let's talk about moving corals. Because a lot of times too, we did a huge tank move yesterday, and we had massive colonies. How do you keep them intact? What are some secrets? How do you keep them from touching each other and sloshing around in coolers and buckets?
Wait. The tank was small.
The tank was small, but
The
I mean,
colonies were huge.
it was
I
beautiful.
heard it was established for a real long time.
It had to be. I mean, I'm not talking these colonies because he showed me pictures of them, but
Yep.
a lot of people show pictures of things, and then you're like, when you see it, not what the pictures showed.
That was like 6 years ago, bud.
Yeah. But yeah, these were huge colonies, and we actually kept. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. I like it. I was also referring to that as well.
Reverie.
Yeah.
We were trying to keep it PG, and I just went.
Sorry, just
Yeah.
listeners. You have to watch the video on YouTube.
Yeah.
Tune in to where?
YouTube.com/New Wave After Dark.
Damn. son.
Yeah.
It's like you were
Took
ready
me a
for
while.
It's okay. I kind of forced it.
We'll get her next time.
It's early.
It is.
So yeah, so keeping them intact. A couple things that we do especially for LPS, so they're not sloshing around, having bags, separating each one, and you can always in your cooler put a little bit of water in there, so that, again, the bags aren't on the actual hard part of the cooler, and then you can use Ziploc bags, or we have obviously the fish bags as well.
What do you guys like to do as far as transporting big colonies, especially like SPS, who are more prone to getting broken, fragged off during transport? Like, what's your preferred method?
5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, and then I wrap them sometimes. So you can wrap them with bigger fish bags, or you can use they have those huge storage bags Ziploc storage bags. You can use those as well, just to try to prevent any motion and movement.
Yeah.
Minimalizing the motion in the ocean is going to be the best in that one.
Well, the big colonies that we had in the coolers, they were exactly that big, so they weren't doing much of any.
They couldn't
movement,
move, yeah.
And
So-
it was full with water. So
The other thing you can do too is you can fill it. You can put them in there if there's a lot of extra room, and then you can take just a regular bag of water and kind of put them in between so they can't bounce off each other.
Yeah, that's a good call.
So, and then what we did when we we took everything out. We got everything, it's nice here in Minnesota in the winter. There's a whole nother aspect of trying to keep everything warm. But yesterday we didn't have to worry about that as much. But temperature, keeping everything the same temperature, that I think is a big deal that we maybe want to touch on a minute.
well, probably one of the big things is keeping your car running, or run it before so it's warm in the car. Before you load everything up.
Do you guys put heaters in the places where your fish are stored, like in your cooler? I personally wouldn't do it,
I don't.
just because I think it would get it too hot.
I think there's too much to regulate there. I think that's why we put the fish in last, or try to take everything out last and keep it in the cooler. But the main, like the water too, that if you're transporting huge like these, we have a little bit of a unique situation because we're moving these tanks, but we already have it established back at the store. But I mean, keeping your main water volume, like Caesar was saying, if you're transporting into big vats or anything in your vehicle, make sure that the vehicle is still running.
And the new water that you're gonna use at your other house, it's warm.
That's
that's a
the
big one.
worst when you don't. We've had that too, where oh crap, now we need 100 gallons of freezing cold, newly mixed water. So, I mean, temp acclimation's a big deal too.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think, Brenda?
I think reducing the amount of time that they're out of that tank without life support is going to play the biggest factor. So like what Jen mentioned, doing the fish last, coral, maybe before that. And then, don't leave the coolers open. If you're not going to put anything else in there, close it up and like conserve as much of that temp as you can. And don't just leave it outside. Put it in a vehicle, keep it in your house, something like that.
The other thing that I've done in the past, back when we had horse and buggy and we didn't have, the plug-in into your car, you could take warm water or just take bags of warm water.
I remember those days.
Right. I know. That's why I'm in good company. You could take bags of warm water and set them in there too to keep the temperature up a little bit.
Yeah.
As long as you're not like putting boiling water in there, because then again, you're just going to heat up the water. But just obviously you get everyone gets what we're saying. Keep the water at as close temperature as you can.
Yeah. And I guess what you could do if you do have any bagged coral fish, if you throw them in a styro cooler, you could get hand warmers and just tape them to the top of the lid. Just make sure they're not directly sitting on the bag. Basically, essentially what you'd be doing is packing fish like you're going to ship them, just to keep that temp up.
Don't put the hand warmers in the bag with the corals and the fish, just so you know.
And do not let them touch.
Yes.
Bad things will happen.
Yeah.
Wrap them in newspaper or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know where you were going with that one, but
For me, I was just saying in general, you'll get that one person that puts the hand warmer inside of the bag with the fish. Like, oh, no, it's going to be fine.
oh no,
Jen
It's a
said,
portable heater.
yeah.
all right, so let's go back to order of operations. Number 1, have a plan. Number 2, I personally say disconnect everything that you possibly can, minus the return pump and the heater, keeping those for last. So disconnect your lighting, move that aside, disconnect any extra pumps, move that aside, ATOs, all that. Get all that out of the way so that the last part is the water, the fish, the corals, and then go.
Another trick of the trade that I'll give you guys is when moving all of your electronic components, it's really nice to label your cord, like your power cords, to where it goes to. There's a lot of times, I mean, you guys have all seen it. Everything looks very similar, but one ballast may be double the power that you need for this ballast, or that ballast goes to that. Just really easy if you do return. Keep it with your return controller and pump.
That's a really good point. I also think that having those, even the Ziploc bags or the regular fish bags, and putting them all together right away, because otherwise you end up with like that spaghetti nest of corals or cords, and you're like, what the heck? And where's this going to go?
Or going back to that mystery 5 gallons, there's always that mystery cord that you're like, where did this come from? Where does this go to? What is this connecting? And
That's a good point. That would give you the opportunity once you move to, if you had your mesa cords, do some cable management.
Yep.
Yeah.
Big time.
I think one thing we're missing that I was just thinking because I'm distracted about the tank move that we have to do soon. Plumbing. If you have to cut your plumbing, make sure that you have the right pieces to replumb it. If you didn't plumb it right the first time, a lot of times, you know, you didn't have the unions or any of the other valves on there for easy disconnect. Making sure you have those, because running to the hardware store is 8 times to try to find the right pieces is the worst.
Big time killer.
Yeah, not only that, but people just do it right. I mean, god dang.
I like to say think it out and then build it before you glue it too. That's a big one.
Well, I'm just bringing it up because, you know, I get to places where they're like, yeah, I gotta replumb my tank, and then I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, you do. Like,
You're like, keep your day job.
Why didn't you just like call us or do it right the first time? Like, there's no reason to like do something like that with us where you're short on time, or you just do it quick because you want to see your tank go in, or take your time. You know, you're not going anywhere.
It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, it's just like,
You know, it got real when Caesar started double tapping.
Yep, that's the dad double tap.
Yep. You know, bad things are happening at that point in time.
you know what? That's exactly what I do with my kids when they.
I know,
my
I've
I know.
seen it.
I feel like
Yeah, I know.
I felt
when
it.
he does interviews or when we do reviews,
Yep.
like if you get the double finger, oh gosh,
Watch out.
you're
I
yeah.
did not notice that before. I can be on the lookout for that now.
Oh, yeah.
I
Everybody has their
actually
way.
in the when we drive together in my dashboard, I have dents. No, I'm just kidding. It's just hanging on things.
you.
I don't. This is a terrible idea. No,
Can't do
doing it right. I will be the first one to admit, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I'm surprised that I had homeowners insurance from my first plumbing jobs because literally, I mean, metal clamps, yeah, don't use those. Zip ties as clamps, don't use those. Electrical tape, don't use that either. Yeah, a bunch of things and stuff. And then also too, when you're plumbing, make sure that you are sealing the things that are supposed to be sealed. And in the returns, when now we're talking about tanks that have overflow boxes or columns, I don't glue some of those pieces together inside because if they need to be removed, otherwise it's a huge pain.
Yeah,
I agree.
removed and
Yeah.
cleaned.
And when you move the tank again, you can pull them out,
Yep.
drain all the water out of that overflow section.
Because they're nice, they're pressure fit anyway. They're not going
Right.
anywhere, especially your drains. I mean,
as long as they're in a spot where if they fall off, the water still goes to the sump or whatever,
Yep.
then you're fine. Yeah.
Where
Yep.
it's meant to
Returns are a different story, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So I mean, plumbing is I don't know. I just remember my first tank was 120 gallon. My first big reef tank was 120 gallon, and underneath, I mean, I didn't even have a sump, and underneath was just because we had like I don't even remember. It was like those sand filters and all that. I had all of these
Yeah.
things connecting everywhere. And I mean, I would go underneath there to unplug something and like flatline. My legs would kick out from just electricity and
See Jen just like,
no, seriously, my
got
mom,
it.
because that back in the day, I mean, I was in high school. I lived with my parents, and they were. It was like out of sight, out of mind. Like under your bed, you know how kids have like all that stuff under their beds.
Yep.
Like under the stand was like, no, don't look underneath there.
so that reminds me, what was the? We were working on a job, you and I. Was that at a restaurant? It was a UV or a pump that shock you. That was hilarious.
That was at Stella's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the. Oh my gosh, that hurts so bad.
That's the first time I see Jen shake so.
Oh, I literally think it was like a lightning bolt. I think I
Story
lost
time?
minutes. What'd you say?
Story time?
No, seriously.
Yeah.
So what happened with, I remember that because the dumpster, you're like, what do I do with this? I'm like, take it to the dumpster right now. Because I was so, my whole arm was tingling. And I mean, if I could, my hair was probably standing straight out. I literally flatlined. So what happened is the ballast or the quart sleeve of the UV had cracked.
Yep.
And so I don't know if I think you were like, what is this? And you plugged it in.
Something
like that. And I
yeah.
had my hand out, and literally my whole body just shot flat. And it was not good. And then
And
Caesar was,
she looked at
Caesar
me.
just laughing.
I was. She looked at me like, "What happened?"
like, what? Yeah, because it was like a jolt. Like, I think I missed a moment of my life. Like, I swear to you, if they would have asked, like, what year is it? It would have been like 4 years earlier or 5 years later. I had no idea. And then he's like, well, what do I do with this? And I was just like,
throw it away.
yeah, just throw it away. Throw it in the dumpster. I don't want to look at it. And I'm like, I can't feel my arm. And he's just like, are you okay? Really, really very concerned man over here. Concerned for my well-being.
I actually said, "Well, we can probably just replace the cord sleeve."
Yeah, and I'm like,
she
"Get-
goes, "No,
Get rid of it. Get it out of here. I don't want to see it. You're dead to me." I totally forgot about that. I think it's one of those mental blocks that you're just like, I have been shocked several times. That was one of the worst.
I'm sorry I brought it up, but it was.
Oh,
I know it was bad, but
my arm is like going numb just thinking about it.
it's a little funny now.
Yeah. So doing tank moves, make sure to be careful, I guess, with your equipment, but also it's a good time to just check your equipment, clean your equipment, make sure everything is running.
You know, if you guys have let's say a plug that it's gonna land somewhere where it's close to the water, like put some electrical tape around that connection.
Yeah.
You know, like if you have an extension cord and then you plug something in there and it's gonna be above the sump, just put electrical tape around that union, so at least there's something to.
And then wait to plug it in until someone else is holding the other end, and
Yeah.
it's.
And then make sure there's a camera so that we can
Oh my
relive
gosh.
this moment.
Serious.
I'm sure
That's
there's
a
gotta
bunch
be
of
one in that
jerks.
restaurant. I mean,
Oh, that's terrible.
and
So
she was on a ladder too, I think,
yeah,
on a step stool. or
yeah.
something.
I mean, because it should have been on one of those like dirty job shows. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever dealt with
most
lobster.
dangerous jobs.
Yeah, most dangerous job. What, lobster skimmers? You think that you've smelled bad things in your life? No. Lobster skimmer is probably the absolute worst. And then lobster skimmer after being electrocuted, not even, with like fried hair and lobster skimmer. I mean, is that like a dish?
I feel like that's the new cologne coming out. JK Crew. Lobster
Jen.
Man.
Oh my God. Fried Jen.
By Jen.
Oh God.
She
So,
was like, I think.
yeah, like I'm smoking. I'm like, do you guys smell that?
Sizzling her.
Anyways, I was
Not good. So, okay. So we got your tank to the next location, next place,
Can I
next
ask
house.
one more quick question?
Probably not.
Okay, fair enough. Do you guys replace bulkheads
Ooh.
That's a good one.
or seals if you have that option?
I think I would if I have the option.
Let's say your tank is sat for 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's time to replace
I
them.
mean, bulkheads
At
are.
least check them.
If you're gonna work on the plumbing anyways,
You're
Yeah.
there
might
now.
as well.
Yeah.
I say that, but then if I have to do it, I just don't want to. But it's the right thing to do.
But that's why we have
It
Caesar.
depends also on the tank because I mean, Red Seas, for example, the bulkheads are a certain type,
Yeah,
and
good
they
luck.
come in also like silicone to the glass and all that. And
But
it's
you
just-
make such a good point now that you say that. Make sure when you are reconnecting everything that there's no sand in there, because that is a number one.
where the gasket is. Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
where the gasket is, because once you disconnect those, everything that's in your overflow, all that silt and bristleworms and all that.
Wet
the-
vacuum.
Yeah. Oh yeah, wetback.
Ooh, good call.
But making sure too you rinse all those seals, because there's nothing more frustrating than setting up your whole entire tank after a long day, plugging it in, and then having a leak. That's drip. Yeah, I know.
drip.
And then it's never the best option to just put a bucket underneath and be like, I'm gonna deal with this. in the
Or it
morning."
lands in the sump and you're like, it's in the sump.
It's
I'll
in the
do it
sump.
later."
I'll do it tomorrow.
Or you'll do the telltale saltwater one. Oh, the creep will seal it up eventually.
hey, don't.
It does.
Yeah,
but-
don't touch that. I've been building that for a while.
Don't touch that little button. Oh God,
Yeah.
there's so many tanks I can remember where it's just like, what it click? Oh, you shouldn't have touched that.
Yep. And now your
Drip,
job just
drip,
got
drip.
way worse.
Yep.
I forgot to tell you not to touch that.
Yep.
Yeah, don't touch the creep.
Yep.
Salt creeps.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yeah.
All right, so you get your tank set back up. Hopefully no leaks. Everything's good to go. What are some of the things I think we should touch on? What to look for in the next week or so? Because obviously, if you're dosing and you're doing all this, do you just plug your doser or program it to where it was and just,
Keep her going.
plug and play? Or what do you do?
Do you have a Apex
Mm-mm.
or a controller?
Nope.
No?
Well,
Nope. So I'm
Well.
manually test it, and yeah, that's a good thing to
Well.
bring up is test where your calcium and alkalinity are at, and just monitor that because I would assume in most tanks after you move it, it's going to go down. So yeah, don't just plug in your dosers and keep dosing the same thing because you're probably going to spike your alk.
I agree.
Also, the corals are probably going to be a little bit shocked, so they're not going to be doing any absorption anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe give it a couple days.
I normally run carbon too for a day or two to help clean up the water and just help get out other impurities that you may or may not have stirred up.
That's good.
That's
yeah.
fair. I like
Through
that
your
idea.
move.
Yep.
Mhm.
So yeah, making sure to check that elk, calcium, I mean, even nitrate and phosphate, you could, I mean, depending on what you decide to do with your sand bed, you may have a spike or a decrease to nothing. So just monitoring everything again, just as if you were setting up a new tank.
Yeah, and it's never a bad idea to add bacteria.
That's
So,
fair.
Beat me to my next punch.
All right. And then you guys have been experimenting with some other bacteria, I noticed. I just pay the bills, but I see that there's other bacteria. So
Yep.
what do
I
you
just work here.
I just work here and I get the invoices and I just pay them. So
We've been experimenting with a new bacteria. Well, not new. It's not new in the market or anything. And it's, I can't remember the company name, but we buy it by the gallon. And we use it on our QT systems and actually our coral systems when we do water changes and if we need to reduce nitrates or phosphates. And it seems like it's working really good for us so far.
I'd say it's very similar in Microbacter 7 with
Yep.
what the outcome is, where
Exactly.
it's that nitrifying, pretty much a nitrifying bacteria in a bottle, where it really, we recently redid our Red Sea at the shop, and we had a very bad diatom growing in there, and then through steady bacterial dosing, I think we did a really good job of eradicating that. I mean, we threw in some other things to help stir the stand bed, but for the most part, I would chalk it up to probacteriums adding into it.
Well, it brought down the phosphates at 450.
Yep, big time.
I mean, besides the GFO, we were dosing that and it did bring them down. So that's.
and if you're not sure, the 450 is our fish only 450 gallon at the store. So we have all of our big angels and all of our big non-reef safe fish in there. So phosphates and nitrates have always been I mean, just like any aquarium, have always been something of a battle.
Yep.
And I do like the Microbacter 7. That's my go-to also.
That's at home. That's what I
Do you dose
use.
it every day or do you dose it routinely in your tanks or do you just do it when you do water changes or what do
I'm
you
a
guys do?
routinely. I dose it anytime I put new clean water into my aquarium.
I do it maybe every 2 to 3 weeks after a water change.
I'm more case by case reactionary with it, but
Yeah.
if I see issues, I'll dose. Otherwise, I'll just let the tank do its thing.
But we might want to clarify too. I have a nano that's consistently running water through it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
Because
why
you're doing
I do
huge
it.
water changes
Yep.
and yep.
So you're doing like auto water change?
Yep, I have an auto
Oh,
water
okay.
change
Oh.
where in my clean water I dose Microbacter into that, so I'm dosing pretty much bacteria-filled clean water into my
Look at
aquarium.
you.
I
I'm trying
know.
to think above and beyond.
Mm.
To infinity.
So
Oh my gosh.
Too soon.
I know. So bacteria, Microbacter 7.
Do you guys replace your old bacteria bricks or bacteria media or anything of that nature?
No, my
Rinse, clean?
No.
haven't done any of that.
Do you ever? I don't.
No, and I think the reason for that is because I don't have the fuge light in my sump.
Ooh, good call.
It's separate,
Yep.
so it keeps everything really clean. To be honest, even my protein skimmer.
Do you run a lot of flow through
And here they are. Uh,
your area where the bacteria is at?
Yes, so it goes through the filter socks.
Yep.
Before that, it went through the roller mat. Now I went back to the filter socks. That's a different story. And then it goes right
All right.
through
I'm on dog control here.
Oh, Greg's losing it.
Come on.
Yeah, I think they.
Come on, let's go.
And then so it goes through the all the heaters and all the media, and then goes to the skimmer and up.
Nice.
So it is forcing the water through the media.
That works out nice.
So
I wouldn't. Yeah, that's where all your bacteria diversity is. So I think if you do that, it's the exact opposite of kind of what you want to do. So yeah, make sure you keep your beneficial bacteria.
I've just heard when it's getting kind of full of detritus and a lot of those like gems that are out on the market or those balls in bags, they can collect a little extra detritus sitting in there. So it's more,
Yeah, I would
if
say
you're moving it about, you
if
might
you're-
as well clean them up.
yeah,
maybe.
if you're gonna do that, I think treat it similar to like you're saying, where rinse it in salt water.
yep.
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 You're right about that one.
Or old tank water when you're getting ready to move it. That's probably the best course of action. So
I have to do my weekly plug. Anyone that wants a small miniature labradoodle named Greg in a blue and white Hawaiian shirt, I'm going to put him up for adoption today, right now.
or
So
a giveaway.
yeah, so go. He comes with 4 paper clips, a bag of food, and a lollipop. So
what about the
upping-
t-shirts?
And the t-shirts. Yep. I'll throw in the Hawaiian shirts as well. They also have matching dad shirts as well, but don't tell Doug. Just kidding. Anyway, let's back to tank moves, but seriously, that dog. Ugh,
He's just a baby.
I like his haircut though. He looks cute. He
it's
does.
growing back-ish, but I mean, when they did it, he had his first puppy cut, and when I went there to pick him up, I'm like, oh God, I like you less. Like, where's my, like, and
Has
he-
the rat type look to him.
yeah, like I was like, what is that?
Where's the fluffy?
Where's my puppy? And then he bit me, and I'm like, sweet, there he is, found him.
Yeah.
Greg strikes again.
Oh gosh,
He bit me this morning.
he did, like, for real bit?
No, just playing with him.
Yeah.
He just grabbed onto
Just
a
the
little
tip.
too hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys. This morning we did a pre-pod with my kiddos, and so we'll have to show some of that too with our. I can't remember little Ched and OG Sambot 33. My kids, they
Well,
were
maybe we can
bring them on
plug
as.
it in at the end. of
Yeah,
the-
we'll plug it in at the end. Show you guys
Dario.
talk about your favorite fish.
Yeah.
That's what they were doing because we're. I think they're kind of sad to see the tank move, but one of the good things that we are doing with, and this is back to tank moving, we are putting our big tank in finally.
I swear to God, this has been like
I've been
5
waiting for
plus
this.
years.
Yes, it's so I've had the stand for, well, we've had the stand since the house was built, I think, so 4 years or so, and so we will be doing that upstairs. So we are still undecided. By undecided, I mean it's going to be a reef tank, but Doug still thinks it's going to be fish only. So it's going to be a reef tank.
Yes.
It doesn't.
the boss has spoken.
Yeah. So
All
Doug,
SBS.
yeah, Doug can pretend like it's going to be whatever it is, but that he can just
On
watch.
the top. On
he
the
can just
top.
I
watch
was going to
his.
say there's going to be a thick layer of scolies around there.
So
Well, so
Well,
no.
sauce and scolies.
that's fine. But so yeah, so we're doing the big tank upstairs. So what we are able to do now is tank move to the store, which I know when most people don't get to do, but then we get to just design it. I mean, the sump will be here. We're doing a Dreambox sump. It will be here in probably in 2 months, I guess. But we're able to just do it right. So I have all my rock, which we'll show. We can talk about aquascaping and rocks in the next episode. But all of the rock that I've been hoarding for several years.
you have that some of that Bucani, right?
I do. I have
Branch.
46 boxes.
She has
of-
a lot. No, remember, guys, we're in the Midwest, so it's
Geesh. No, so I have I have the Pucani that from Indo when I bought out right before it got shut down. I bought out everything. And then also a bunch of branch that I've been collecting over the years. So aquascaping is going to be really fun.
Is this one of those that you're going to be like in the tank
I have
to
to.
aquascape?
Yeah.
Caesar and I will be in it.
Caesar's holding their legs up.
Yeah. Yep. No.
Yeah.
Move
to the
me
left.
to the left.
Yeah. Everything I own in the aquarium to the left.
Pivot.
Yeah, so that gives me gives us some time. Yeah, gives me some time to I'm sorry, you confused me at pull out.
Sorry.
Okay, it went there.
I had to. I mean,
I
it
know,
was
right?
funny.
And so yeah, so it gives us some time to actually think about it. And I mean, we've had 4 years to think about it, but now it's time to execute. So we can go through a tank build too, if you guys are interested in seeing what we're going to be doing. You can see a blend of budget, which I grew up with a dog named Budget. And then a true aquarium consumer, which I wish we had like 30 customers like Doug, my husband, because we would all be very wealthy because you can sell him anything. So you can see that he wants all the bells and whistles and fancy, and I do it on a budget. So you can see kind of the best of both worlds.
And I get to help put it together.
Yep.
Yay.
Well, we'll all have parts of it. So it'll be ours. It'll be the new wave tank, since it will definitely take a village to build this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be a project, but it's going to be awesome to see it in action.
Yeah, because it'll be depending on what we decide to do. If we're doing more of a like the quarantine grow and whatever, it'll probably be closer to 1,000 gallons.
Yeah, it's gonna be a project, but it's gonna be a fun
So
one.
I'm starting off with 3 frag plugs, 1 green. I'm just kidding.
One green slime.
1 green slimer, 1 red mushroom,
And some zinnia.
and some zinnia.
Wait. GSP.
Nope, I'm not putting GSP. I'm doing the rare Indo lawn coral.
Oh, okay.
Get a
sorry.
Neon green lawn coral.
Ultra
Ooh,
rare.
ultra rare.
Ultra.
Hard to find.
We're still growing some. I mean, it's pretty small.
Yep.
It's down to like 2 to 3 polyps now. But
We're coming.
$50,000 a plug.
yep. So all right, I think we nailed it on the tank moving.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add to the moving of the tanks before we start moving of the tanks?
Wheels.
Oh,
Wheels. Putting wheels under your coolers, under your brutes, things like that.
Yes,
Getting
says-
carts.
says
old
me-
Brokeback over
yeah,
here.
and me too.
Brokeback Mountain.
No, not
Mountain
Brokeback.
Brokeback Mountain Man. That should be his name. This is Brokeback Mountain Man, Ted.
Oh no.
Um,
Oh no.
Silence.
Anyways,
Yeah.
put the wheels on.
No
there.
wheels on. But yeah, work smarter, not harder. Use pumps.
Yep.
That's fair
Have
too.
towels too.
Have towels. Be prepared.
Lots of
in a
towels.
nutshell.
3 or 4 towels. Just kidding. 3 or
Like
4.
two.
A lot.
All of
For a
them.
All
dozen.
of the towels. Yes.
Just 2. Just 2. You'll be good.
And a professional carpet cleaner on speed dial, if that's the case.
Oh, definitely.
And a net. And I will say, check your sand bed if you have wrasses.
Oh, yeah.
That's gonna
Don't
be a
forget
fun
about
one.
them. I'm nervous about the Dejongis because we have those grandma Dejongis, and I know they're not sand dwellers, but keep like in the rocks. So
That'll be
making
fun.
sure I have a head count. I guess maybe that should be in the number 1 and 2.
Head count.
Know what you're trying to catch, and then cross them off because you don't want to forget about little Benny or my grandmas are Johnny and Dee Dee.
Oh.
The Dejongs.
And use a glove when you go through your sand bed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a reminder.
All right.
So if all of this doesn't sound appealing to you and you don't want to move your own tank,
Well, lucky
and you're
for you.
in Minnesota, that is what we specialize in.
Yep.
So just give us a call, reach out to us online. We do have a maintenance page over there, so we'd be more than happy to help you move your tank, and that's what we do for a living. So
I think Brendan's saying that because he is the guy that schedules it, and then we're the ones that move it. No, I'm just kidding. We
I just forward it to you.
yeah, forward it. Jen, take care of this. No, we do it all the time. So if you don't want the stress, we also have all the right equipment. So it becomes that right tool, right job. Is a huge deal when you're moving your fish. There's nothing more frustrating, and I know there's a lot of things I say. There's nothing more frustrating, but setting up, doing your tank move and then having a complete loss. So also too, using us as a resource too. If you have questions on how the best ways to do things, or you need extra things, you don't even have to be in the state. Obviously, we can direct you towards products that we recommend or things that we use that make your life a little bit easier.
Yeah, and if you're here, stop by. We'll sell you some coral as soon as you come in, and then we'll let you know how to move your tank. And,
Now you're talking like me. The longer I keep you here, the more that you'll buy.
And if you don't want to move your tank, just buy a new one.
Right.
And we'll sell you that
and we'll
too.
sell you the new tank as well. So then you'll have 2 tanks now. It'll be great.
We also drop ship.
Yes. And finance.
Where do we do that at?
NewWaveAquaria.com.
Dang, you were ready, sir.
He is ready today.
All right. I think we're ready.
All right, Ted Mountain Man Morris.
Broke Mountain Man Morris.
Yeah.
I'll do broke, just not the broke back.
That's
insinuating something that I don't really want
That's
to be
fair.
insinuated.
That's fair. But your back, like mine, is broken.
Yep.
His is Well, yours is a little worse than mine. Mine,
Yeah.
I'm just stubborn.
Mine is surgically repaired now.
Yep. And I'm trying to avoid that. So anyway, work
Should
smarter,
I-
not harder, Jen.
You should have had a bionic one put in.
I thought about it, but then I was like, the whole cyborg thing when you're working with water, it could turn out pretty bad.
Get shocked.
We could
Oh
be
yeah,
like
leave
old
it.
Shocker.
Yeah, leave it. Oh, it's the shocker. Oh dear. That's what
Malfunctions.
Caesar's nickname is going to be the Shocker. Senior Shocker.
El Shocker.
Oh no.
I'm sorry. that was.
Oh dear. Okay, that happened again. We've done the Minnesota goodbye though. Now it's our third time saying
Yeah,
goodbye.
that's right.
So on that, goodbye.